If you absolutely hate applying to jobs with a burning passion, this video is going to be for you because I'm going to tell you exactly how you can automate this and make this the most efficient process possible. Instead of having to manually log into LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Google Jobs, Simply Hired, or the other million different job sites, what we're going to do is build out in this video this workflow in N8N. It's going to be free in the description down below for you guys to grab and use today. And what this essentially does is on some interval every single day, for example, we're going to automatically pull out jobs from places like LinkedIn or ZipRecruiter. We're going to score them on a 1 to 10 basis so that you don't focus your time on jobs you're not interested in. You only focus your time on jobs that you're actually interested in working at or applying to. Then we're going to generate cover letters using AI and then dump that into a Google spreadsheet. Now, this is a database where you could essentially have jobs pouring in every single day that match exactly what you're looking for from every single job type, job portal out there. And then all you have to do is go through them, choose the ones you like, take your cover letter, and then automatically go over to the link and then apply to that in a matter of just a couple seconds. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in doing, then that is exactly what we're going to be doing in this video today. Everything that we're going to be talking about is going to be for free. We're going to be building this out step by step. So even if you've never seen N8N before and it looks a bit scary at the beginning, we're going to be walking through this and you should be able to pick this up. No problem. With that being said, guys, let's dive into this right now. The first thing that we're going to need to do is sign up for some free accounts. So the first thing that I'd like you to do is follow along with me here and sign up for an N8N account. Pause the video, come back when that's ready to go. And what we're going to do is hit this plus button here, circle over workflows and click personal. And what this is going to do is generate a new workflow for us so that we can start building out this workflow that I showed at the beginning of the video. Now, typically speaking, if you just think about this logical flow, we're going to be pulling jobs from places like LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter and Google Jobs and Simply Hired and all of that kind of stuff. But the first thing is that we want to pull these out on some certain interval. So typically speaking, maybe it's like you want to wake up every single day with a list of the best jobs to apply to. And so we can go ahead and do that. What we're going to do is we're going to hit this plus button and we're going to type in schedule. Okay. And typically speaking, all of these workflows have a trigger. A trigger is a fancy way of saying what starts the workflow. And then all of these are called actions, which happen after we trigger something. So the trigger is once every day. We're going to perform some actions like grabbing these particular jobs and dumping them into a Google Sheet. And so that's essentially what we're building. Now with this trigger here, if you double click it, there is a time interval. We can focus on days or weeks or months. For me, I'm just going to do every single day. And we're going to schedule it again, one day in between each other. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's always going to come in, and then we can trigger, we can focus on when we want, like what hour we want this to be at. And I'm going to choose 8 a.m. for now so that when you're having your cup of coffee in the morning, these will be already done for you and you can get straight into it. Now, the second thing is that we actually have to go ahead and scrape these jobs. Now, first of all, I'm just going to be walking through how we can do this with Indeed, okay? There is going to be multiple different sites that you can scrape these jobs from. Once you understand how to do this Indeed, you pretty much understand how to do this with every single one of these different job sites. All you have to do is duplicate what we're building for each individual job site. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to use something called appify.com to be able to scrape this, okay? So again, it's going to pull things from LinkedIn, Indeed, it's going to pull things from Upwork if you want to grab jobs there. You could focus on getting jobs from really anything. Well Found over here, and the list goes on. I mean, there's just a ton of these different there's a ton of these different job sites. Now, what we're going to do is sign up for a free account, and I want to draw your attention once you sign in here that on my side it says $75 because I have a paid account, but you should have $5 of credits to use immediately, and this rolls over every single month, which means typically speaking, for most actors, they're all kind of priced out differently, but usually you can scrape on average 1,000 listings for $5. So you could scrape theoretically, usually 1,000 different listings every single month completely for free using Appify. If for whatever reason that's not enough and you don't want to spend the money, of course, you could always create a new email account and do this again. I'm just gonna pretend like I didn't say that and and move on here. I'm just trying to help you guys out so you don't have to save or spend any money on the process of doing this, especially when you're applying for jobs. Okay, so let's get into this. The first thing is we'll head over to the Appify store here, and this is where all of these actors are that we can choose from. And I'm gonna type in Indeed over here, and there's a lot of different things, a lot of different actors, and actors is just a fancy way of saying web scraper. There's a lot of different web scrapers that we can choose from, but I'm going to choose this one. Now, I do want to point out that if you're watching this in a year or two from now, sometimes these actors, they come, they go. Don't stress if you can't find the exact same one, because there's a lot of other ones that also work as well, and you could also select those if you can't see the exact one that I'm using. But for this purpose, I'm going to use Indeed Job Scraper PPR. Cool. Now, the first thing that we need to do here is we just need to hit this save button down below here. So I'm actually going to reset this to the default view so you guys can see what it looks like on your end. First of all, you note for $5 you can scrape 1,000 jobs and you get $5 for free. So that's a lot of jobs that you can scrape immediately, which will take you probably like a day or two to do manually. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click save here. The reason why we're going to click save here is because now in our workflow we should be able to access this from from NADen. Cool. And just so you're clear, the reason why we're doing this in NADen and not Appify is because if we do it in NADen or Appify here, it's still a manual process. We can scrape the jobs, then we have to grab them, we have to manipulate them, we have to score them ourselves, we have to do all this stuff and then dump it into Google Sheets. That adds a tremendous amount of time, but NADen is going to simplify this by automating everything away. So we're going to hit this plus button here, and then we're going to search for Appify in the top corner here. And just make sure you'll have a green or an orange button here. Just make sure to install it, and then you're going to be good to go and you can start using this. The reason why it says install is because this is created by Appify. It wasn't created by NADen, and so anytime it's created by a third party, you just have to install it. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to run an actor. Okay, this looks a bit overwhelming if it's your first time in NADen, but we're going to be walking through this step by step. First thing is we need to grab credentials here, so we can go ahead and create a new credential, and we're just going to connect my account, and it's going to ask you to sign in through Appify, and you can just choose the account, and then you're going to be good to go. You have access to Appify through NADen. Okay, so what this essentially allows you to do is it allows you to scrape Appify through this particular NADen workflow programmatically. We're going to open this back up here, and now because we saved this particular job scraper down here, we should have access to it in this list. So I'm going to go ahead, just choose the right account here, and I'm going to type in Indeed, and we now have this PPR. Okay, and then we just need to do two more things: input JSON and the wait for finish over here. Essentially, in this, we can choose what kind of jobs do we want to scrape. So for example, I might want to query SEO, and maybe I want to choose in the country US, and maybe I only want to take a maximum of 10 jobs for now. And this is just while I'm testing. Of course, I could increase this later on. Maybe you want to do remote or hybrid work or whatever the case may be, but I'm just going to save this, and this is good for me. Now, you'll notice if you scroll to the top of the page, it says manual here. We just need to shift over to JSON, and we have all this text here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, not change anything about it. I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to delete these brackets here, and then I'm going to paste that in. That's it. Now this should work out of the box. Last thing that we need to do here is we need to select a number here, wait for finish, and this is going to be 60 seconds. Instead of me just going off explaining it, let me show you how this works in action. What's going to happen is it's going to scrape these results. Now the thing is you'll notice this isn't instant. It's taking a bit of time. And so what this wait for finish does is we're saying, hey, before we just move on to the next steps, we're going to wait until the results come in, because if we start moving on before getting the results, well, we're not going to be able to score jobs that we haven't retrieved yet, or we're not going to be able to write cover letters for jobs we haven't retrieved yet, or we're not going to add it into Google Sheets when we haven't retrieved the jobs. Cool. So that's what wait for finish does. Now it's going to return a bunch of like stuff that you're not going to care about at all. None of this is relevant. This is like what is returned after it's web scraped. None of this is relevant. What we're really after is these particular jobs that we just scraped. So if we go back to Appify here, for instance, and we were to go to runs on the sidebar, we could see that we just scraped 10 results here. Okay, if we clicked in there, we'd see the output. These are all the jobs. We want these jobs here. We don't want just some random gibberish on the side. And so how we get those jobs is we add another node down here, and we're going to type in Appify again, and we're going to select, and I think my face might be blocking this, get dataset items. And the reason why we're doing that is because this is just giving us the status of the run. This is going to give us all of the results back. So we'll open this up, and all we have to do is just enter in one thing, dataset ID. You'll notice there's multiple different IDs up here, but this is the wrong one. We need to circle down to where it says default dataset ID, drag that in here, okay? And now what we can do is test this out. Before I do, I just want to pin this result by right-clicking on it and clicking pin. What this does is it saves the data every single run, so I don't have to wait 60 seconds to run the web scraper every single time. For testing this out 30 or 40 or 50 times, that could save me an hour in the process of testing this out. So now I'm gonna go ahead, execute the run. We skipped over the web scrape and used the sample data. And now what we did was we pulled out 10 results here. So we can see this job here, SEO specialist, full-time, and it's remote. And we can even take a look at the job itself. So if I just scroll down here, maybe what we can do is we can take a look at that job URL that we just grabbed here. Cool. So this is it, SEO specialist by Optimum 7. Here's everything about it. So looks pretty cool if you're looking for an SEO optimized job. Now, the next thing, I'm just going to pin this as well, and then we're going to move on here. And the next thing that we want to do is set up a limiter here. So this is temporary. What a limiter does is we're only going to allow maybe one of these results to go through. So you'll remember we scraped 10 results. We can see 10 here, which means that we're technically processing 10 jobs at once. So we'd score 10 jobs, we'd write 10 cover letters, we'd add 10 jobs to Google Sheets. I want to limit this while we're testing to 1. The reason I'm limiting it to 1 is because all of these processes can take time and they can take money if we're loading a ton of stuff in here. So just in the process of testing, we're going to limit it to 1 just to speed everything up, and then we can delete this afterwards. Awesome. And so the next thing that we're going to do here is we are going to go ahead and open up OpenAI here and message a model. Okay. And there's two things. First, we want to go ahead and score the job. Then what we want to do is write the cover letter. So two processes. Now we do need an API key. At the beginning of the video, I was mentioning that this is going to cost a bit of money. It's like pennies on the dollar if you're just doing this a couple times. But let's talk about how we can actually get this API key. We'll go to the platform.openai.com. Now keep in mind, if you just signed up for the first time in N8N, they'll probably give you some free tokens anyways, and you can just kind of burn through those. But if you want to go ahead and actually get an API key, you'll have to head over to platform.openai.com. You'll have to go to settings over here and then go to API keys and then generate a new API key. Okay, so we'll do like, I'm going to call this delete, and select a project, create the secret key, and then we will copy this key, okay? And we will create a new credential and we'll just paste it in there, save, and we're good to go. That's essentially it. I'm gonna close out of this because I already actually have an integration here that I'm gonna use. And we're going to kind of fast track through this. I'm actually gonna copy and paste this over so I don't have to retype it every single time just to speed up this video. So I'm gonna open up this OpenAI node here, and there's essentially multiple things happening. Remember, we're trying to get a score over here out of 10 on what AI thinks, like how applicable this job is to us. Should we actually be spending our time, our valuable time, applying to a job that might not actually be suited for us in the first place? And so how we do this is very similarly to opening up something like ChatGPT here and just asking a question. We can programmatically do this inside N8N. And what's going on here is we have 3 messages, okay? I'm gonna break this down as simply as possible. We have a system message, which is instructions. So the instructions might be something like this. I want you to rate a job on a 1 to 10 point basis, okay? So rate it from 1 to 10. And here's the qualifications that would give it a 1 to 10 rating. Give it a one extra point if it's a remote job, give it another point if it's a full-time job, give it 5 points if it's kind of like the job is in the SEO realm because that's what I'm interested, and so on and so forth. So you're just giving it instructions on what it needs to do. The user message over here is the input. So what we're doing is we're passing in the job description, things like the job salary, yeah, whether it's remote. So it has the information to actually follow your instructions to determine whether, you know, whatever the actual score is. And then lastly, with the assistant, we're just defining how we want the output to look like. We're asking it to score it with a number here, okay? And maybe even give us a reason as to why it gave us that score in the first place. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue forward using this exact system here. So first thing is we're gonna add in the system or instructions over here. I don't know why they call it system, user, and assistant message. These are like super confusing to me, but I think it's way easier when you just think about it like instructions and user input and assistant as output. Cool. So here's just kind of what I put it as. You're an intelligent bot rating how closely a job listing is to a candidate skill set on a score of 10. Please add up all the points to create a total of 10. Then here's the actual job score. 4 points if my resume is an amazing fit for the job, 2 points if it's mostly matching, 3 points if the job is paying, let's say, over $25 an hour, $4,000 a month, $350,000 a year, 1 point if it's a remote position, 1 point if it offers benefits, and another point if it's full-time. Okay, and yeah, so that's essentially it. And then we're giving a couple examples of what that would actually look like and how it would go ahead and score that. Now, the next thing is the user message. And with the user message, all we're doing is just pasting in a bunch of information here where we're saying, here's the job salary, whether it's remote, benefits, all of that kind of stuff. And the important thing is I actually dumped in a sample resume down below. And this is where you'd put in your resume so that AI can look at your resume, look at the job, and then determine, hey, are you actually a good fit for this job? And is the job a good fit for you, so that you spend your time on things like high value jobs that you actually care about and not spend your time on low value jobs that you don't care about. Cool. So that's the whole process with the user message. And then lastly, with the assistant message, while this isn't technically required in this way, you know, I just always like putting this in. I like structuring the way the output comes out. We're just saying, and this is something called JSON, okay? It's like a different format. It's a way of formatting data, similar to how like a Google Sheet would format data. It's just a different way of formatting it. And we're essentially just saying, give us a score out of 10 and give us a reason why you scored it out of 10, okay? If you ever get stuck with this kind of stuff, you can ask ChatGPT, please give me JSON data with 2 keys, score and reasoning. And it will literally go ahead and do this for you. You do not have to memorize JSON. You don't have to know it at all. You could literally just copy that in. It's good to go. Sweet. So that is the first part done. What I'm going to do now is, and also, sorry, we need to have a model here. And I'm going to choose GPT-5 mini. I usually just choose the most recent model and the mini version because the mini version is cheaper and faster. Okay, so we'll go ahead and execute this now. So we're going to score the first job as it's coming in. Cool. And then we'll move on to actually creating the cover letter. So, cool. So last thing that we're doing here is that this is actually outputting it as just a block of text. And what we want to do is we want to change the format. You can kind of see the format over here. There's like multiple different things, like title has a variable, and then you have description of the job has text, and so on and so forth. This is all kind of just merged together. How we unmerge it is we essentially choose output content as JSON, and then we go ahead and execute this one more time, and then it will separate the actual score from the reason it gave us that score in the first place. Cool. Now the next thing is, while we're waiting for this, is I'm going to build out this next ChatGPT note. Okay, it actually looks like it came out. Score is 4 out of 10, and it gave us the reason as to why it's a 4 out of 10. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this by holding down Command and D, and then we're going to connect this in. And the next thing we want to do is create that cover letter for the particular job. So we're going to more or less copy what we have here, and then I'm going to walk through this while we're doing it. So the first thing is we have the instructions here. So the instructions are: your intelligent bot, perfect at creating cover letters for a job. Please take the candidate's resume and create a customized cover letter for this job. Sweet. The next thing is we're going to pass in all the details of that job. So we're going to pass in the title, the description, the name of the job, the location, and then we're going to pass in a sample resume like we did in the previous step so that it can create a customized cover letter based on your individual resume. Awesome. Last thing here is we're going to have an assistant message, and all we're going to do in here is we're just going to define essentially how we want this to be outputted. We just have cover letter, and it's going to literally type in the cover letter here. This is how the output's going to work. We're just going to keep it as is. And again, if any of this stuff confuses you guys, you can download the blueprints for free and it should work outside the box. Cool. So we'll go ahead. I'm going to pin this and we're going to run this now. And it should now generate that cover letter for us that's customized to this particular job. So let's take a look at the job that we're applying for right here. So it's an SEO specialist, and essentially it's saying it's in Florida, United States. Zen Media is the go-to B2B marketing and PR agency helping enterprise software, healthcare, technology, professional services, and manufacturing brands. Okay, that's really freaking dry. Man, that's hard to read. Just another reason why you probably want to automate this stuff. I don't know about you guys, but just like all these jobs, it's like the most dry, boring, it's the most dry and boring, you know, like application process. And like it just 2 sentences in, I'm almost falling asleep. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. Dear Zen Media hiring team, I'm writing to express my interest in the SEO specialist role at whatever. I recently became or completed a BBA in marketing and have hands-on SEO experience from an agency internship and freelance work. I'm excited by whatever. Okay, cool. So now we've gone ahead and we've created the cover letter, and the last thing that we need to do is we need to insert this into the Google Sheet so that we can have an entire database from all of these different job application sites in one location. Google Jobs, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. So we're going to hit the plus button here. We're going to do Google Sheets. Okay. And with Google Sheets, we're going to choose append or update row. And what this is saying is we're going to add, or if it already exists, we're going to update what's already in there. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. Now I'm going to choose from the sheet, and this will be in the description down below for free for you guys to go ahead and copy. And we're going to choose the tab over here. So tab is just sheet 1 down here. Cool. And then simply all we have to do is we just have to fill these in. Okay. There's just one additional step here, which is column to match on. And so if you recall, like 20 seconds ago, I was saying, it's going to create something if it doesn't exist or update it if it does exist. So it's going to need to search for a unique value. And I think that the most unique value here would probably be the URL of the job or the link, because the link is permanent. It's never going to change. Whatever the link is here, like it's not like that link is all of a sudden going to change. Like they might update the title, the job description, or whatever, but they're never going to update the link. And so that's the most likely way that we're going to be able to update something that's already been added into this particular Google spreadsheet. Okay. And then lastly, we just need to send data from the input side, and we need to map it into the center screen here. So we're just going to drag and drop things in, and we'll go through it step by step. So job description is going to be here. The title is going to be there. Let's see. Platform is just going to be hard coded here for Indeed. And then we have the company name, which is going to be Optimum 7. And then we have our particular cover letter. So we generate this using AI over here. So we got that. And then we also need to get the salary. So let's see, salary. Okay, so we can just do like the salary text here. And then I'm going to do city. Cool, city is Miami. And then expired. I'm just like searching for this on the side. Sweet. So we'll drag in expired. Is remote. Yes, it is remote. And for whatever reason, that didn't work. I think if we run it again, it should, but I'm just going to keep it in there. Maybe there's duplicates. I don't know. And we're going to title this to do. And then I'm just going to search for salary one more time. Oops, salary. Okay, cool. Awesome. We're going to drag that in there. And if it's red here, likely what happens is that not every single job on Indeed presents you with a salary. And so it might just be missing from some of the results. We might be scraping 100 jobs. Maybe 8 of them have the salary, 20 of them don't. And we're just pulling in a sample record here, and that sample record might not actually have a salary in it. Okay, and then last thing over here, we just need to get the rating, which is another thing that we generated using the using artificial intelligence. And then finally, we just need to pull in the date that we actually grabbed this job. Cool. So date published is right here. Awesome. And also, yeah, one last thing, the actual link to the job, which is the job URL right over here. Cool. So that is it. We're pretty much good to go here. We can give this a shot and see if it adds into the bottom here an additional row. So it looks like it did. We have SEO specialist, and I think I actually entered in the wrong description here. So maybe not, but yeah, okay, okay. Looks like maybe there was a mistake there. Just enter that back in one more time, but you get the point. You just go back and forth until you add in the data. It's coming from Indeed. Here's the job. If we like it, we can open this up and then really quickly apply to this job in a matter of just a couple seconds. We have the date, this rating. You could even filter things out. So maybe you don't actually want to see jobs that are like a 2 or a 3 or a 4. Maybe it's like, condition, and it has to be greater than or equal to, like, let's say 7, and then it's just going to automatically filter them out. And yeah, that's essentially it. You can have everything in here, and then you can just change the status as you're going through it, so that when you apply to a job, you can click apply. Now, that's essentially the workflow in a nutshell. Now, there's just a couple points that I want to make here at this point in time. We did select in Appify a particular job, and what that job was SEO. Okay, so if we come back here and we go into this actor, we could apply for SEO, we could apply for digital marketing as well, right? There's many different jobs that you might be interested in applying to. And so what you'd want to do is essentially probably the easiest way to do this is just literally duplicate this workflow. So you can just copy this, create a new workflow, okay? And then you can paste it in here. And all I'm doing is just holding down Shift, dragging over, pressing Command C, okay, and then pressing Command V over here, and it's going to paste it in here. And this time we can just change the query to digital marketing, okay? And now we have one for Indeed digital marketing, and we have another one for Indeed SEO. And then we can reiterate this process, but now instead of doing this on just Indeed, what we can do is we can do it on LinkedIn jobs. And then we can create another workflow for ZipRecruiter. And then we can create another workflow for Google Jobs. And then we can create another workflow for Simply Hired. And then we can create another workflow for all of these other platforms that you may want to find jobs on. And the whole goal here is that you can just have this database of all of these jobs being merged together into one dashboard, so you can see in the morning when you wake up all the jobs already pre-vetted, pre-rated for you. You have a cover letter ready to go. You have the link. You just apply to the ones that actually make sense to you. And that way, hopefully you can trim off like hours every single day in doing this. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found value in this, it would be amazing if you could do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me, and it tells me I'm doing a good job. And also, if you guys are ever looking to learn more about AI and automation and potentially sell these skills to business owners, because AI and automation are becoming massive trends and a lot of businesses are looking for these skills, you can take a look at my school community here, where I go over all of this kind of stuff. Now, first of all, I have a lot of free tutorials on my YouTube. You can take a look at that. If you want to take it to the next level, you can check out the community here. Essentially what we do is for 3 outcomes. Number 1 is learn these skills so you can save time, earn money with them in your own life. Number 2 is to create your own AI automation agency or go the freelancing route. I'll help you find, close, and fulfill deals. And the last transformation here is for those of you who want to create a business. I help you automate that business, automate up to around 80% of it. And I give you the exact blueprints and templates that I use to scale my last business to over 7 figures. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a lovely day, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.